everyone. Hope you're having a good day. Today is day 1 of week 3 in our Time to Get Serious series. Trials and tribulations, as you know, is our subtopic for the month. Or not subtopic, main topic, sorry, for the month. We're going to be reading in Matthew chapter 14 today. Our kickoff scripture for today is Romans chapter 8, verse 28. It says, "We know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God." Our subtopic is winning is good and ready. Well, let's start off. We just have one verse today to read in Matthew chapter 14. It's going to be verse 32. Scripture said, "And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased." Now remember, if you recall where we picked up last week, it was during the feeding of the 5,000 occurred, and then Jesus sends the disciples out on the Sea of Galilee to cross to the other side. The windstorm occurs, and that's basically where we're at this point. He called Peter to walk on the water. Peter comes to walk on the water, takes his eyes off Jesus, sinks and falls. Jesus picks him up. Now we're here at verse 32. Scripture said, or Tony writes that a final truth I want to share with you about trials is this: Christ will bring your trial to an end when he has accomplished what he wants through it. When did the wind die down? When Jesus got to the boat with the disciples. When Jesus, and when did Jesus get to the boat? When he was ready. He had been beat up in the mountains praying earlier, and could have got to the boat when the wind first started blowing. But he didn't have to wait until the storm hit. But he got into the boat when he was ready. That means no amount of fussing and crying and complaining is going to change what God wills to do. People say I'm mad at God. Big deal. It's okay to be honest with God, but you have to understand that he is working in his will and his program, and he is not going to get into the boat until he wants to get into the boat. Let me show you what happens when God is at work in your trials to bring about his will. John says that when the storm died down and the disciples looked around, the boat was at the land to which they were going. You can read the same story over in John chapter 6. As we mentioned the weeks prior, this is the one particular story, if you call it that is in all 4 of the Gospels. So continuing on, in other words, when the storm was over, they had arrived at their intended destination. They thought Jesus had sent them out to drown, but he had planned for them to reach the other side. What I'm saying is, don't get so upset about your trial that you forget it may be the very thing God is using to take you where he wants to get you. Let him do his thing, his way, because even when circumstances seem to be going against you, God can work it all out for good, because that's the business he's in. Romans 8:28 states, is the modus operandi of the God we claim to love and serve. It's not the exception. It's the rule. It's only when you understand that God is working his plan through your trials that it makes any sense at all to count them as joy. Read about that in James 1 verse 2. Now think about it section. Tony writes, the disciples thought they were going to drown, and all the time the storm was taking them where they wanted to go in the first place. I don't have a lot to add to that. very apparent as far as what I could say personally, that yeah, God works everything in His own timing, and really nothing we do speeds that up, slows that down. God decides to do things when He is well ready to. Hope you all have a good day.